Alex had always liked his quiet life. He lived in a small apartment on the outskirts of a sprawling futuristic city on the alien planet of Zarya. The city was filled with people from all over the galaxy, humans, aliens, and everything in between. Yet Alex had never quite gotten used to living next door to so many different species. He spent most of his days working on his tech projects and relaxing in the comfort of his own space. It was a peaceful night, and Alex had just drifted off, to sleep, his mind still buzzing with thoughts of his latest invention. The soft hum of the city's energy grid and the gentle breeze from the window helped lull him into a peaceful slumber. He had no idea that everything was about to change. Alex awoke to a strange feeling. He wasn't sure what it was, but something felt off. At first he thought it was just a dream, but as his eyes opened he saw a figure standing beside his bed. The figure was tall and slender, with skin that shimmered in the dim light of his room. Alex's heart raced. His first thought was that he was still dreaming, but the cool air brushing against his face and the weight of his blanket told him otherwise. The figure standing before him was no ordinary person. It was an alien. Its skin was a deep shade of blue, and its eyes glowed with a soft violet light. It wore a simple tunic made of material that seemed to shimmer like liquid metal. The alien's hair, if you could call it that, was a mass of tendrils that swayed, gently as if caught in an invisible breeze. Alex's mouth went dry and he struggled to sit up. What are you doing here?" he stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. He was still trying to make sense of what he was seeing. His heart raced faster, and his mind scrambled for an explanation. The alien seemed just as startled as Alex, its glowing eyes widening. I didn't mean to disturb you," the alien said, its voice smooth and melodic. I had a vision, and I was drawn here." Alex blinked in confusion. "A vision? What do you mean, a vision?" He rubbed his eyes, still unsure if he was dreaming. "I am Kalara," the alien said softly. "I live in the apartment next to yours. I'm from a race called the Irathi. We are different from humans. We don't sleep the way you do." Alex took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing thoughts. He had heard of the Irathi before. They were known for their advanced technology and their peaceful nature. But he had never actually met one. He had no idea how to react. Kalara continued, "I didn't intend to intrude, but I've been experiencing strange dreams, visions that lead me to you." The alien stepped back slightly, looking apologetic. "I thought I was supposed to find you. I felt something pulling me here." Alex was still processing everything. His brain couldn't keep up with the situation. "So, you walked into my room while I was sleeping because of a dream?" He could barely believe the words coming out of his mouth. Kalara nodded. "Yes. Where I come from, dreams and visions are connected to deeper truths. I felt a connection to you, one that I cannot explain. I had to see for myself." Alex could only stare at the alien, trying to make sense of what was happening. He had never been one to believe in destiny or fate, but something in Kalara's words felt real. He wasn't sure what kind of connection she was talking about, but he could feel it too. A strange warmth that seemed to radiate from her, like a calm presence in the midst of his confusion. "Listen, I don't mean to be rude," Alex said, his voice still shaky. "But you can't just walk into people's rooms like that, especially at night." Kalara lowered her head slightly as though embarrassed. "I'm sorry, I didn't think about how this might seem, but I am not like your kind. My race does not have the same boundaries or customs. We are more attuned to our surroundings, to the energy of others." Alex rubbed his forehead, trying to gather his thoughts. He had to admit, though, that there was something calming about Kalara's presence. Despite her alien appearance, she didn't seem dangerous. If anything, she seemed vulnerable. "Okay," Alex said, sitting up in bed. "So, you're saying you're not from around here? Where are you from?" Kalara looked at him with her glowing, violet eyes, her tendrils swaying gently. "I am from the planet Erath, far from here. My people are explorers traveling across the galaxy, seeking knowledge and understanding of the universe. We are a peaceful people, but we are also sensitive. to the energy of other beings. Sometimes we feel a connection to those we are meant to meet. Alex blinked. He had heard of Urath before, an ancient and technologically advanced civilization. But the idea that one of their people was living right next door to him was hard to believe. Why me? Alex asked, still puzzled. Why would I have this connection? With you? Kalara paused for a moment, her eyes narrowing slightly as if searching for the right words. I cannot fully explain it, but I believe that our paths are meant to cross. There is something about you, Alex, that I cannot ignore. Something in your energy resonates with mine. Alex's heart skipped a beat. The alien had mentioned his name. How? Did she know it? Before he could ask, Kalara stepped closer. I know this is overwhelming for you, but I ask for your patience. I do not mean to cause you harm. I only wish to understand what this connection means. Alex sat in silence, staring at her. He had no idea what to think, but for some reason he didn't feel afraid. This wasn't a nightmare, and this alien didn't seem dangerous. She seemed lost, just as he was. I'm listening, Alex said, his voice steadying. Let's figure this out together. Over the next few days, Alex couldn't stop thinking about the strange visit from Kalara. The encounter had left him confused, but there was something about her that intrigued him. She wasn't like the other aliens he had met. She didn't seem to want anything from him. No business dealings, no technological exchange, just a simple, unexplained connection. The first time he saw her again, she was standing outside his door. Her tendrils shimmered under the artificial lights of the hallway, and her glowing violet eyes seemed even more intense than he remembered. She smiled softly when she saw him. Hello, Alex, she greeted, her voice calm and melodic. Alex stood there for a moment, unsure of what to say. He had been expecting her, though he didn't know why. There was a strange pull in his chest whenever he saw her, something that made him feel at ease, despite how odd the whole situation was. Hey, Kalara, Alex said finally. You, want to come in? She nodded, stepping inside without hesitation. Her presence filled the room, but instead of feeling crowded, Alex felt strangely comforted by it. She wasn't like other visitors. She didn't seem interested in the material things around her. She wasn't looking at his tech gadgets or the view of the city outside the window. Her eyes, however, seemed to always be drawn to him. Can I sit? She asked, her voice gentle. Yeah, sure, Alex replied, gesturing to the small couch in the corner of the room. Kalara settled herself on the couch, her tendrils gently swaying in the air. Alex sat down across from her, his curiosity growing. The more he spent time with her, the more he realized how different she was from anyone he had ever met. She wasn't just an alien, she was otherworldly in a way he couldn't quite explain. But it was more than just her appearance. There was something about her, something that felt familiar, yet completely foreign. So, you said you were drawn to me because of a vision? Alex asked, hoping to understand more. Yes, Kalara said, her gaze becoming distant, as though she were looking beyond the walls of the apartment. In my visions, I saw a human who had the potential to change everything. I do not know why it was you, Alex, but I had to come. Change everything? What do you mean by that? Alex asked, his mind racing with questions. Kalara met his gaze again, her violet eyes focused and intense. In my world, we believe that some connections are destined. Some bonds are formed across time and space for a purpose greater than ourselves. I felt this bond with you the moment I stepped into your room. I could feel something inside me stirring. My people have always been attuned to the energies of the universe, but this connection is different, stronger. Alex wasn't sure what to make of her words. It all sounded so unbelievable. Yet as he looked at Kalara, he couldn't deny that there was something about her that felt real. Her sincerity wasn't like anything he'd ever experienced before. She wasn't trying to use him or manipulate him. She seemed just as confused as he was. I don't understand, Alex said softly. I mean, I'm just a regular guy. I'm not some chosen one or anything like that. Why would the universe, your visions, point to me? Kalara's tendrils swayed slightly, almost as if she were contemplating the answer. I do not know, she admitted. But I can tell you this. I have never felt such a connection before. It is like a thread pulling at both of us, leading us together. You are not just an ordinary human, Alex. There is something in you that resonates with me in a way that defies logic. Alex rubbed his temples, trying to process what she was saying. So, what now? What do we do with this bond? I do not know that either, Kalara said, her voice filled with a mixture of curiosity and uncertainty. But I believe we should explore it. Maybe together we can learn what it means. For the next several hours they talked. Kalara shared more about her life and her people, the Arathi. They were a peaceful species, explorers who traveled the galaxy in search of knowledge and understanding. They had no need for physical sleep, instead entering into a meditative state that allowed them to process the information they gathered during their waking hours. Kalara explained that their kind often formed connections with other species through shared experiences or energy exchanges. As Kalara spoke, Alex found himself fascinated. The way she described her world made it seem like an entirely different reality. A place of calm, balance, and harmony. He couldn't imagine what it would be like to live in such a world, but he felt like he could almost see it through her eyes. So, your people just travel the galaxy? Alex asked, still, trying to wrap his head around the concept. Yes, Kalara said, nodding. We explore, we learn, we seek knowledge. But we are also bound by a deep respect for life and all forms of existence. We do not seek war or conflict. We believe that all beings have a purpose, and it is our duty to understand that purpose. Alex leaned back in his chair, absorbing her words. There was something about the way she spoke, so calm, so certain. He couldn't help but wonder what it would be like to live like her, to see the universe through her eyes. And, for a moment, he forgot about the confusion and fear he had felt when she first walked into his room. Sounds like your people have it all figured out, Alex said, a slight smile on his face. Kalara smiled back, though it was a bittersweet expression. We may have knowledge, but we do not have all the answers. That is why I am here, Alex. I am seeking something, and I believe it is something you can help me find. The words hung in the air between them, and for the first time, Alex felt the weight of the connection Kalara had spoken of. It wasn't just about her. It was about both of them and the strange path they seemed to be walking together. So, Alex said, breaking the silence, what do we do now? Kalara's eyes softened. Now we begin the journey. Over the next few days, Alex and Kalara's conversations became more frequent. They talked about everything: life on Earth, the wonders of the galaxy, and the mysteries of the universe. Each discussion left Alex with more questions than answers, but one thing was clear. The connection between them was growing stronger. It wasn't just an energy link anymore. It was something deeper, something Alex couldn't fully understand. One evening, as Alex sat in his apartment working on a project, Kalara arrived unannounced. This time, her usual calm demeanor seemed a little off. Her tendrils were stiff, and her eyes, usually a calming violet, flickered with a hint of worry. Alex, Kalara said, her voice low and serious. I need to speak with you. Alex put his tools down, his curiosity piqued. What's wrong? She stepped into the room, her usual grace replaced by a slight urgency. I've been sensing something dangerous. I didn't want to worry you, but I can feel it. My people, my species are being hunted. Alex's heart skipped a beat. Hunted? By who? Kalara seemed to hesitate, then spoke in a whisper. A faction known as the Zathar. They are merciless, ruthless. They hunt down peaceful species like mine to enslave or destroy. They've been chasing my people for months, and I thought I could stay hidden. But now, I fear they've found me. Alex stood up, his mind racing. What do you mean they've found you? Are they coming here? I don't know, Kalara said, shaking her head. But they've been tracking me, and it won't be long before they arrive. I'm Not sure how they're doing it, but I can sense their presence getting closer every day. Alex felt a lump form in his throat. The calm, peaceful alien he had come to know was now a fugitive, running from something much darker than he had ever imagined. What can we do? How can I help? Kalara looked at him, her violet eyes filled with a mixture of fear and gratitude. I don't want you to get involved, Alex. These people, these Zethar, are dangerous. They won't hesitate to destroy anyone in their path, and you could get hurt. But I can't run from them alone. I need your help. Alex didn't even hesitate. I'm not just going to sit here and let you face this alone. If they're coming after you, they're coming after me too. We'll figure this out together. Kalara's tendrils twitched and she gave him a small, grateful smile. You are brave, Alex, but this will not be easy. The Zethar have technology beyond anything you can imagine. They can track energy signatures, manipulate matter. They'll be able to find us no matter where we go. Alex's mind was already spinning with ideas. What if we leave? We can go somewhere far, somewhere they won't be able to track us. Kalara shook her head. It's not that simple. The Zethar have eyes everywhere. They control most of the galaxy. Running won't work. So what do we do then? Alex asked, frustrated. He didn't want to just give up without a fight. Kalara stood silent for a moment, deep in thought. I have an idea, but it's risky. My people have hidden a ship, a vessel capable of faster-than-light travel. It's located on a distant moon, far from here. If we can get to it, we might be able to escape. Okay, that sounds like a plan, Alex said, feeling a spark of hope. What do we need to do? Kalara looked at him. First, we need to make sure we're not being tracked. I have a device that can block their signals for a short time, but we'll need to act quickly. The Zethar will be looking for me, and the longer we stay here, the more dangerous it becomes. Alex grabbed his jacket, feeling a rush of adrenaline. Let's get moving then. The longer we wait, the worse it'll be. They left the apartment quickly, slipping through the hallways of the building unnoticed. The city outside was bustling with activity, but Alex couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The air felt heavier, as if the very buildings around him were aware of the impending danger. Kalara led him down a series of narrow streets, moving quickly but cautiously. Her senses seemed heightened, her eyes scanning the surroundings constantly. Alex felt a sense of urgency in her every step. He could tell she was scared, but she was doing her best to hide it. After a few blocks, they reached an old building on the outskirts of the city. It was small, tucked between two larger, more modern structures. Kalara stopped in front of the door and pressed her palm against it. A soft click echoed through the air and the door slowly creaked open. Inside was dark, the only light coming from a faint glow at the far end of the room. Kalara stepped inside and Alex followed her, his nerves on edge. This is where we'll hide for now, Kalara said quietly. But we can't stay here for long. The Zethar will be searching for me. They won't stop until they find me. Alex nodded, trying to stay calm. He couldn't let himself panic. Kalara was depending on him, and he couldn't afford to let her down. For the next few hours they prepared. Kalara activated the device that would block their energy signatures, and they made plans to reach the hidden ship on the distant moon. But the more Alex thought about it, the more he realized how much danger they were truly in. The Zethar weren't just some rogue band of space pirates. They were a powerful, merciless faction that had been hunting peaceful civilizations across the galaxy. And now, they were coming for Kalara. As they stood in the dim light of the hidden room, Alex's mind raced. They couldn't just wait for the Zethar to find them, they had to act first. They had to take the fight to them. We'll be ready, Alex said, his voice steady but determination burning in his chest. Kalara looked at him, her eyes filled with both fear and something else, something that resembled hope. Together, they would face whatever came next. The next few days passed in a blur of preparation. Alex and Kalara spent every moment planning their escape. The device Kalara had activated was powerful, but they knew it would only hide their energy signatures. For so long, once the Zethar began their search, they would be relentless. Time was not on their side. Alex could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on him. He wasn't a soldier. He was just an ordinary guy who had found himself in a dangerous world he never imagined. But he had made a choice to stand by Kalara, and he wasn't going to back down now. "I've been to this hidden moon before," Kalara said one evening, her voice filled with a quiet determination. "The ship is well hidden, but it's not invincible. We need to move quickly once we get there." They were now standing in the small, dimly lit room where they had been hiding. The device was still working, masking their energy signatures from the outside world. But Kalara knew that it wouldn't hold off the Zethar for long. Her sense of urgency was contagious, and Alex couldn't help but feel the adrenaline begin to pulse through him. "Let's do it then," Alex said, trying to steady his nerves. "The sooner we get to the ship, the sooner we can get out of here." Kalara nodded. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small device. It was sleek, metallic, and unlike anything Alex had ever seen before. It looked like a small communicator, but the way it pulsed with energy told him it was much more than that. "This will help us locate the ship," Kalara explained. "But we need to be careful. If the Zethar are nearby, they'll be able to track us if we use it for too long." Alex nodded. "We'll be quick." Together they left the hiding spot and made their way through the narrow streets once more. Alex stayed close behind Kalara, keeping his eyes peeled for any sign of danger. The city felt different now, more ominous. The air seemed to hum with an unspoken tension, as though the very walls were aware of the impending threat. They moved quickly, slipping through shadows and avoiding crowded areas. Kalara's steps were light, graceful, as though she had done this many times before. Alex followed her as best as he could, trying to stay out of sight. After what felt like an eternity of weaving through the darkened streets, they arrived at the outskirts of the city. The buildings here were older, more worn down, and the streets were quieter. Kalara stopped in front of an abandoned warehouse. She looked at Alex, her eyes filled with a mix of caution and determination. "This is it?" Kalara said, her voice barely a whisper. Alex's heart pounded in his chest as they entered the warehouse. It was dark inside, with only the faintest glimmers of light filtering in through cracks in the walls. But Kalara didn't hesitate. She walked to the far side of the room, where a metal door stood. Her hand moved quickly, pressing a series of buttons on a hidden panel beside the door. With a soft hiss, the door slid open, revealing a small, dimly lit corridor. Kalara stepped inside, and Alex followed closely behind her. The air here felt different, colder, almost like they were stepping into another world entirely. "This way," Kalara said, leading him through the hallway. "The ship is just ahead." As they continued down the corridor, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of dread creeping up on him. He had no idea what kind of danger they were walking into. The Zethar could be anywhere, but he wasn't going to stop now. He had made a promise to Kalara, and he intended to keep it. They reached a large metal door at the end of the hall. Kalara quickly scanned her hand across a panel beside it, and the door slid open with a quiet hiss. Inside, the ship was unlike anything Alex had ever seen. It was sleek, metallic, and glowing with a soft blue light. The ship seemed to hum with life, and Alex couldn't help but feel a strange sense of awe as he stepped inside. "This is it," Kalara said, her voice filled with a mixture of relief and urgency. "This is our ticket out of here." Before Alex could say anything, a loud noise echoed through the hallway behind them. Kalara's eyes widened. "They're here." Alex's heart stopped. The Zethar had found them. He turned to Kalara, his mind racing. "We need to get this ship off the ground now." Kalara nodded, her face set in determination. "I'll start the engines. You need to help me with the controls." Together, they rushed to the control panel at the front of the ship. Kalara quickly began pressing buttons, her hands moving with practiced speed. Alex stood by her side, trying to follow her instructions as best as he could. He had no idea how to operate an alien ship, but he wasn't about to let that stop him. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared to life. Red lights flashed and a voice echoed through the ship's speakers. Intruder alert. Zithar forces detected. Prepare for engagement. Alex's heart raced as he looked at Kalara. Can you get us out of here? Kalara's eyes met his, filled with focus. I can, but we need to move quickly. The Zithar won't give up easily. With a sudden jolt, the ship's engines roared to life and they were thrown back into their seats as the ship shot upward. Alex felt the pressure of the G-forces as the ship accelerated, but there was no time to focus on anything except the danger closing in on them. Hang on. Kalara shouted over the noise, her eyes fixed on the control panel. Alex gripped the edge of his seat, his heart racing. He didn't know what was coming next, but he knew one thing. They had to survive. The Zithar were coming for them. But they weren't going down without a fight. The ship sped through the cold, endless void of space, its engines humming with power. Alex sat in his seat, staring out the window at the stars that seemed to race past them, each one a distant beacon of light in the dark sea of space. His heart was still pounding, but the immediate danger seemed to be behind them. For now, at least. Kalara sat beside him, her fingers dancing over the control panel as she adjusted the ship's course. Her eyes were focused, her face calm, but Alex could see the tension in her shoulders. The Zithar might have been temporarily outrun, but they weren't out of danger yet. He could feel it in the air, in the silence that hung between them. How long until we're out of their reach? Alex asked, breaking the quiet. Kalara looked at him, her violet eyes filled with a quiet determination. A few hours, but the Zithar have advanced technology. If they've traced us, they'll come after us. Alex clenched his fists, the thought of the Zithar finding them again making his stomach churn. He wasn't a fighter. He had never imagined himself in this kind of situation. But in the last few days, everything had changed. And no matter what came next, he wasn't going to let Kalara face it alone. We'll be ready, Alex said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. Kalara nodded, but her expression remained serious. I hope so, but this isn't just about us escaping. It's about more than that. The Zithar won't stop with me. They'll keep hunting my people, and if we don't find a way to stop them, they'll keep destroying everything in their path. Alex sat back in his seat, processing her words. He had already known the Zithar were dangerous, but hearing Kalara speak about them so calmly made the situation even more real. She wasn't just a refugee. She was the last hope for her entire species. I'll help you, Alex said quietly. We'll stop them. Together. Kalara's eyes softened, and for the first time since their escape, she allowed herself a small smile. You've already helped me more than you know, Alex. They sat in silence for a moment, the hum of the ship's engines the only sound. Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of awe as he looked around the ship. It was unlike anything he had ever seen, advanced in ways he could barely comprehend. Yet, despite the advanced technology, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were flying straight into an unknown storm. The Zithar were powerful, and they wouldn't stop until they had what they wanted. Where exactly are we going? Alex asked, breaking the silence again. We're heading to a hidden planet in a distant system, Kalara explained. It's a safe place for my people. It's where the remaining members of my species have been hiding for generations. Alex looked out at the stars again, trying to imagine what this planet might be like. A place where an entire species had gone into hiding. The thought seemed strange, but he knew Kalara was telling the truth. He had seen her strength, her calm resolve, and he knew that she wouldn't lead him astray. So once we get there, what happens? Alex asked, his voice quieter now. Kalara paused for a moment, considering her words. We'll need to gather the remaining survivors and build an army. The Zithar are strong, but they're not invincible. Together we can fight them. Alex nodded, the weight of her words sinking in. He hadn't signed up for a battle. He hadn't asked for this, but as the days went by, he realized that he couldn't just walk away. He had made a choice when he decided to stand by Kalara, and now that choice was taking him further into the unknown than he had ever imagined. They continued their journey in silence, the hours passing by slowly as the ship cruised through the stars. Alex's thoughts wandered, thinking about the life he had left behind on Earth, his quiet apartment, his simple life. But now, all of that seemed so far away, like a dream he had woken from. The world he knew was gone, replaced by a new reality, one filled with danger, mystery, and, hopefully, hope. After what felt like an eternity, the ship's warning system beeped, pulling Alex from his thoughts. Kalara quickly tapped a few buttons on the control panel. "They found us," she said, her voice filled with urgency. Alex's heart skipped a beat. "The Zithar?" Kalara nodded. "They're closing in. We'll need to outrun them. Hold on tight." The ship jolted as Kalara pulled the controls hard to the right. The stars outside stretched into streaks as the ship accelerated, the force of the maneuver throwing Alex back in his seat. He gripped the armrests, his breath coming faster as the ship surged forward. "Can we outrun them?" Alex asked, his voice tight with fear. Kalara's eyes were locked on the control panel, her expression focused. "We're faster than they are, but they'll keep pursuing us. We need to make a jump to the hidden planet. If we're lucky, we'll lose them in the system's asteroid field." The ship shook again, and the noise of the engines roared louder as Kalara pushed the ship harder. Alex could feel the weight of their situation pressing down on him. They were running out of time. "We're almost there," Kalara said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Get ready." With one final sharp turn, the ship plunged into the asteroid field, the rocky debris swirling around them, like a deadly storm. Kalara maneuvered the ship with incredible skill, dodging the large asteroids that threatened to crash into them. Alex's pulse raced as the ship swerved, narrowly avoiding an asteroid that passed too close for comfort. He looked at Kalara, who remained calm, her hands moving quickly over the controls. "Just a little longer," she murmured. "We can make it." The ship continued to weave through the asteroid field, the Zithar forces still in hot pursuit. Alex knew that this was it, the final stretch, and if they could make it through, they would have a chance to escape. "Hold on!" Kalara shouted. The ship shot forward, diving into the Astero,